Hello everyone, welcome in to episode 9 of the AshBros video games podcast. My name is Ash, some of you will know me as Brommer18 from my YouTubing exploits, and with me as always is the other half of the AshBros gaming podcast. That is my good pal, Ash. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. Very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, mate. I'm alright. Some of us, i.e. you, have been getting into some World of Warcraft, so I hear,
Oh,
recently.
absolutely loving it, mate. Absolutely loving it. Now broken up for Christmas, so that is my full time 9 to 5 now.
9 till 5 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Literally.
Well, do you know, actually, strange enough, I logged into Battle.net the other day, and I looked at my friends list. I looked at you, and it was like, when I went on, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I looked at you, and it said offline for like 4 hours.
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's been a late one.
Yep. All sense of sleeping patterns gone out the window.
I know, mate. I mean, you know, as well as I do, we've had many late nights. You know how it can just eat up your routine, can't it?
Absolutely.
Particularly over the holidays and that.
Yeah, I still remember that Pokemon Go sesh back in the day, that summer. We were literally out until like 9 a.m. when the kids were going to school.
Yeah.
Still catching Pokemon.
And that was in the height of like when Pokemon Go was like, it like first come out, hadn't it? Everyone was raving about it, and you like couldn't get on the app and stuff. You kept freezing you out after a minute and that.
Yeah.
And we were out all night playing that, weren't we?
Yeah, that was good time.
Oh dear. But enough of that. Today we've got another exciting episode of the podcast for you. We want to talk about in our opinion, the top 5 biggest gaming flops, particularly of recent years. We've gone for games that have been released in the last, like 10 years or so.
Yeah, recent, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, we've all heard about E.T. the Extraterrestrial, but that was before we were born. Yeah, so, we can't really say much about that. So we've really gone for recent history, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got that. As always, we've got the higher or lower section where each week I will put forward a game, and then Ash has to guess whether the next 5 games sold more or fewer copies than that game. And it's something that we encourage you listeners to do at home as well, or wherever you are. We'll, of course, have a game that we suggest for you, why you should play it, what we do each week. And we'll also talk about what we've been playing. Spoiler alert, I've not been playing anything, but Ash, spoiler alert again, has obviously been well into a certain Blizzard title. So yeah, we've got a good one. As we round up to Christmas, recording this, we're a few days before, so really getting to the swing of things now. I've not actually got my jumper on this time.
Criminal.
No, I know. I've just had to take it off because I'm getting warm.
Yeah, I am a bit warm, but sacrifices have to be made for Christmas and for Santa.
I was also thinking, anyone watching the video version will be thinking, do you ever like wash that thing?
Yeah. Do you ever change or shower or anything?
Yeah. So yeah. So before we do get into higher or lower, just quickly want to say, as always, please remember, if you are listening to this on any of your podcasting apps, to rate and review the podcast. That is, other than listening, obviously, that is the best way to support the channel, and we would really be grateful for that. Just helps boost us up the algorithms a little bit, and help more people to find us. Reception has been pretty decent. We've got some pretty positive things said about the podcast so far. So we really do appreciate that, and hopefully we can keep it coming, keep you guys engaged. Reach out to us on Twitter. That is AshBros Podcast. If you got any questions that you want to add, of course, throughout the next, however long the podcast goes, we'll regularly kind of post stuff out to get you guys kind of giving your feedback and input into the podcast as well. We've already done that in a couple of episodes, so don't worry, we'll reach out to you probably next week. We've got a plan for that, or I do. I've not told Ash yet. And also, of course, email us if people still do that, really. ashbrospodcast@gmail.com. You can also find links to all of the audio apps on our website, which is www.ashbrospodcast.com. Right, with all of that being said, let's get into the meat of the podcast today. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready.
We're going to start off with higher or lower.
Retaining my title.
Yes, we'll talk about that very shortly. Anyone who is listening to the podcast for the first time, in this segment, I will suggest a game. And this week, the game is Spider-Man. And that is the original Spider-Man on the PS4, so 2018 Spider-Man. I think it was 2018, wasn't it, or 2016? 2018.
Okay.
And then I'll put forward another 5 games, and Ash has to guess whether or not they sold more or fewer copies than Spider-Man. And we encourage you guys to join in at home. So last week,
you beat me?
Yes.
That is the question.
You wouldn't have last week because Ash got 5 out of 5 for the first time since we've started this segment. We did Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and he managed to guess them all despite having never played the game. Isn't that right?
Yeah. And it's a similar situation today. Never played the Spider-Man game, so on the face of it, it looks like a tough one.
Yeah.
But surprises are in store.
I went for some good ones that link in with the title, which, well, I mean, what was I getting into? So the first one is God of War 2018. So the first God of War that came out in 2018, which is, I guess, God of War Wrong, kind of like a reboot, on the PS4. And obviously both PlayStation exclusives until recently, they did both get released on kind of PC. However, I want to remind you now, Ash, this is just for the PlayStation 4 version of Spider-Man and of God of War, and obviously that links into all the other games we're going to talk about as well. It's just Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, so you might want to lower your estimates a little bit to not include the PC version.
Okay. It's a tough one. Gonna go with my gut, and my gut is telling me how big of a series God of War is. So, I'm not sure about this one, but I'm going to go God of War, more copies.
Oh, it's a bad start, mate. The title isn't retained. That's a shame. It sold fewer copies. Sold fewer copies than Spider-Man.
By how much? Was that a lot?
It was, according to VG charts, by the way, viewers and listeners, this is what I'm using. It was around about 3 million. So, fair amount.
Yeah,
a little bit.
fair amount, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. It's a massive IP, isn't it, kind of gaming-wise, but obviously Spider-Man's just a massive IP, full stop.
Yeah, and I guess, it's going to hit more of a varied demographic, right? Because Spider-Man, you got the movies, you got everything. It's not just
reaches out to children, maybe more, a little bit more, yeah.
So,
despite it being like a 16 rated game.
Yeah.
The next one on the list.
Not a good start, but we're gonna smash the rest of them.
Yes. Next one on the list is Call of Duty World at War, and that is on all platforms.
You've thrown a spanner in the works there. But I'm gonna use my experience of past and say Call of Duty World at War, big game. But it was released a long time ago, and gaming has grown since then. So whilst it is just on the PS4 we're talking about, I'm gonna go Call of Duty World at War, fewer copies.
Oh, that's a really good process that you're showing there, mate. That's 1-1.
Oh.
That's good. Yeah, it did sell. It sold fewer copies and by a fair bit as well. Got a few million.
Okay.
So
I think I've probably underestimated how big of a game Spider-Man was. To be fair, you know.
Yeah, I know, which is weird. It's crazy considering obviously it's only on PlayStation, which is obviously what we're kind of looking at here. That it sold that many really. But it does kind of show the popularity of the PlayStation 4 as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I think at the moment, superhero movies are like absolutely massive. Like from my perspective, I feel like they've grown in the last like 5 years massively, like with the Avengers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they were popular before, but I feel like it started to peter off.
Gone to another level.
Yeah, I feel like with the Avengers and yeah, the recent Spider-Man films, it really has like just, as you say, gone to another level.
Yeah. Right, so that's 1-1.
Okay,
The
1-1.
next one on the list is Elden Ring. Now,
Huge game.
obviously, got many years on an Elden Ring, the Spider-Man. Elden Ring's only come out 2022, but obviously blown everyone away, sweeping the Game Awards, available on all consoles and devices. Or is it available on Switch? Can't you remember?
Ooh, not
Maybe
sure.
not, but
Don't think
yeah,
so.
all the mainstream stuff. So did it sell fewer copies or more copies than Spider-Man?
So, Elden Ring, I've played it myself. I can personally vouch for the quality of this game. I remember when it came out, it was just everywhere on social media. I couldn't get away from it. So, I'm pretty confident I'm going to say Elden Ring sold more copies than Spider-Man.
Oh, it hasn't reached that level yet, mate.
Really?
No, not quite.
No way. Oh my goodness. That amazes me.
Well, I mean, I think it's just a time thing more than anything.
I guess so. I guess so. Wow.
You'd have to think. I mean, this isn't bearing in mind Christmas, so maybe loads of people are going to get it for Christmas. Do you know?
I guess, yeah, yeah.
It
I
hasn't
mean,
had its
on
first holiday
multiple
season yet.
consoles as well. It's just a
Yeah,
massive game. Really, not more than Spider-Man. That does amaze me.
it's just
Wow.
those kind of years. How many years it's had, really? I think more than anything.
Yeah, I guess so. Wow. Okay.
Right. So 1-2. Next up is Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Of course, a different kind of exclusive, Nintendo Switch only.
Yeah.
So this is a tricky one.
It's a tricky one, but Zelda's a huge, huge franchise. I mean, I remember playing playing Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64 with my sister like 15 years ago. So it's been around for ages, and I think
Mm-hmm.
despite it being on the Nintendo, Breath of the Wild was a huge game as well. It's another game that's just been everywhere on social media. So I'm going to say Breath of the Wild sold more copies than Spider-Man, and I'm fairly confident with that.
Yeah, that I'm really impressed. You were confident with that, and it's correct, mate. 2 for 4.
Ooh, okay.
2 for 2. That was a good one. Yeah, I mean it's worth bearing in mind as well. Obviously, it was a release title with the Switch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's
So
the
yeah,
game
so
that like
that's
everyone got when they got a Switch,
yeah,
basically.
pretty
Yeah.
much. It's what I got with mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's obviously a huge swinging factor as well. So fifth and finally on the list, can you get a pass? Can you get a positive result? This is another tough one. It's another exclusive, another Nintendo Switch exclusive. That is Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay. So, obviously Super Mario, one of the OGs of gaming. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think gaming, you think Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach.
Yeah.
That's like the go-to. However, Super Mario Odyssey I haven't heard too much about, and I think I'm not going to underestimate Spider-Man here and its reach. So I'm going to say Super Mario Odyssey sold fewer copies than Spider-Man.
Lock that in.
Lock it in.
That is incorrect, I'm afraid, mate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were going to get that because you got Breath of the Wild. I thought you'd stick with that same thought process.
I haven't heard much about Super Mario Odyssey. I've gotta be honest.
No, I suppose not really. Not as much as Breath of the Wild. No, I think you're right. But again, it probably just speaks to the power of the
Yeah, Super Mario. Yeah,
yeah, the Mario brand.
yeah.
The popularity of obviously the Switch and that. Although it hasn't sold as many copies as the PlayStation 4. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, weird.
That is
There
a
you
weird
go.
one. But there you go. I mean, Elden Ring. That was
The
phenomenal.
biggest shock for you.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
I think you'll soon overtake it. It won't be long.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd think so. Maybe over the
Yeah,
Christmas
yeah,
period, as you
definitely.
say.
It was only a couple of million off, I think. So yeah, so there you go. 2 out of 5, mate. That's a bit of a decline from last week's perfect record.
That is a
unfortunately.
big decline.
Yeah. Never mind. Viewers,
I
listeners, let us know. How did you do? Did you beat Ash this week?
hope so.
Well, they didn't have much of a challenge, did they?
Not this week. Not this week. I thought I'd give him a week off this week. Last week went in ham. I thought, right, you gotta, take care of your viewers.
Calm me down, yeah.
Yeah, gotta massage their ego a bit. So
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Right then. There we have it.
But yeah, do let us know how you got on. I'd be interested to see how many people got like the Elden Ring one correct and Superman.
Yeah,
Odyssey.
definitely.
So please let us know. Yeah, make me feel better about my rubbish score.
Right then. On to the main topic of the episode. Me and Ash want to talk about the top 5 biggest gaming flops, at least in recent memory. We've got 5 games we've selected here. We think are pretty stonewall, really, don't we?
Yeah.
Pretty obvious candidates. But
absolutely,
obviously, we want you guys to let us know if there's anything we missed out that really maybe should have been the list. Let us know. Obviously, get at us on Twitter, AshBros Podcast. Email us, ashbrospodcast@gmail.com. Or for anyone who's watching it on my personal YouTube, which is Brom18, the video version. And obviously, you can get at us in the comments section. And yeah, we'd really appreciate that. And we'll do our best to interact with you.
Any sort of interesting comments, any personal experience, we'll sort of feature and mention in the next one.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you want to feature and you want us to respond to your messages, just leave a comment, email us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
All that good stuff.
So we've ranked these in order 5 to 1. So we're going to start off with 5 and go to 1 in order what we think were kind of like the biggest flops, haven't we?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
We are going to start off with Fallout 76.
A game, a franchise that is close to my heart. Obviously, I played New Vegas, played 3, played 4. I'm hoping for, a new edition, Fallout 5. And they seem to have skipped, 70 odd games.
Yeah, 72 games.
I'm thinking, what's going on here? So I have a look. They've completely changed the genre, and they're going with the massively online, like RPG type thing. Not what they're specialised for. But I'm still thinking to myself, well, it's a big studio. They might do a good job. It might be a bit of fun. But the launch was a disaster, wasn't it?
Panned. Critically panned.
And I didn't even pick this up, I'm not going to lie. I saw the response from
really?
fans. Yeah, I saw obviously I was planning to, but I saw the response after launch and I was just like, nah, do you know what? Not for me.
So you haven't played it at all?
Nope.
Wow. I am shocked. I am really shocked. You'd thought we'd have spoken about this before the podcast.
But clearly, but it's good getting, raw reactions, I think.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I'm shocked about that.
So I've watched a lot of, because it was covered by a lot of mainstream YouTubers.
Yeah.
I mean, Yogscaster group I watched did a feature with Kyle Walker where they played this.
What? Footballer Kyle Walker?
The footballer Kyle Walker.
Oh my god.
I'll have to send you a video of that, yeah, for real.
Yeah, what? That does not. Kyle Walker and Yogscast together playing Fallout. Those don't equate, that doesn't.
It was a bit awkward, but yeah, that actually happened. And there was a lot of videos on it. I wasn't impressed with any of it. None of it drew me in. It's just not what they specialise in. And since then, they've put a lot of work into it, and it's improved for sure. I mean, at first, I think the world was just a barren wasteland with nothing to do. So
yeah, like there was a lack of NPCs, weren't there, with anything interesting to say, a lack of kind of substance.
A lack of content, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think they've sort of put that into the game over time. But it's still not enough for them to drag me in, to be honest. Yeah, it's just not for me. Like, when I play, Bethesda games, I'm looking for that single player immersive experience, not some weird online thing.
Yeah, well, that's it. So yeah, building on what you said there, like it didn't fit into their kind of their image, like their whole style, their I guess their brand. I'm trying to find the right word here. Was like offline story heavy games, right? And this was literally polar opposite because obviously one, it was purely online, and then also one of the things that people panned it for was that the story was weak, lackluster.
Yeah.
But like, there wasn't really much substance to the story. The
The
narrative
opposite
itself
of
didn't
what
have much
you
going for
usually
it.
hear from Bethesda games, right?
Yeah, precisely. And
Yeah.
which made it all the more baffling, I think, to fans, alienated people more. Like, well, you, for instance, because you're
Yeah,
kind of like,
definitely
what?
alienated me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's weird. It definitely has its fans. Like I remember, uh, they released a new expansion for Fallout, and I got a bit excited because I thought it was like a new game or something.
it was
Um,
76.
and yeah, it was just Fallout 76. I was like, oh, so I actually put a comment. I said, no one wants to see new content for this game. And that comment actually got a lot of hate from fans. Like, the comment
Really?
replying to me saying, like, oh, haters spreading lies on the internet. Nothing new here. And I was like, oh, all right. Gee, it actually has its fans, to be fair. So
Yeah.
there are a couple of people who enjoy it for some reason, but no, the vast majority, it's negative
Yeah, because
feedback.
I had a couple of mates who were playing it. I think it was earlier this year, probably like summertime, and I saw them playing it, and I messaged one of them, and I was like, "What are you doing playing that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's better now." I was
Yeah.
like, "Right, okay," and
Hmm.
I didn't. I mean, he probably is. Like, I don't doubt that they'll have, as you said, like they've they've patched new things, released DLCs and stuff. Um, and I don't doubt that, but for some reason, something just keeps putting me off the game.
Hmm.
Um, as it is with you, clearly.
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, you've played the Fallout games, haven't you? Well, you played Fallout 4, but
Yeah,
you've never been like,
massively into them.
yeah,
No,
like I
not like
have,
you. No.
and I still just cannot play it.
Yeah,
Like, even despite that, like,
I think it's the online thing.
yeah, me too. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird. It's weird,
And
really, but
yeah, and lack of focus on storyline and narrative, and more of a focus on, well, I have no idea what the focus on. I guess is creating an environment where it's fun in a group. I guess,
I can't
but
get
no.
Kyle Walker and Yogscast out of my head.
I'm sending you that video
Yeah, you're
for
gonna have
real,
to.
man. Yeah,
I can't believe it. I
yeah,
can't believe that. I can't believe I never heard about it.
yeah.
That's
Funny man,
ridiculous.
funny man.
Oh yeah, so it's obviously, we don't deny it's definitely better than what it was when it first released, and that's going to be a theme throughout the majority of games that we talk about here.
Yeah.
They didn't actively give up on it, other than one, which we'll talk about next.
Mm-hmm.
But for this game personally, yeah, for us, it still isn't enough, is it? And
Not our cup of tea.
you don't see much about it, do you? You know what I mean? Like other games on this list, particularly our number one, you see a lot of because the
Mm.
recovery has been good, same as number two actually. But I don't see as much about Fallout 76.
Yeah, I think they've made improvements to the game, but the game itself, I think, is just not for its fan base.
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah,
So I think like it's not really the most efficient use of their resources to pump
no,
into this game, because it's just, it's not what their fans are there for.
no.
Fans have been created through games, through single player experiences of Fallout, not
I,
by online experiences. So
I guess they wanted an equivalent of Elder Scrolls Online for Fallout.
yeah. I mean, MMOs can be, lucrative. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. Uh, which, yeah, I guess they're just cashing in, right, or
yeah,
trying to milk people. But
yeah, really.
there you go. Not for
So, yeah,
us.
viewers, listeners, if any of you have kind of kept stuck with Fallout 76 or got into it later on, like, let us know, you know what I mean? If there's something we're missing out on, maybe we should like give it a bash. But yeah, at the moment we're not too keen, are we?
No, do let us know if you've had experience with this game and you've got any difference of opinions or you agree with us. Do leave a comment or email us or whatever.
Yeah,
Be interested to hear.
but yeah, hopefully they don't. I'd like them to stay away from that sort of experiment in the future.
Yeah, please
stick to
get back to your bread and butter.
Yeah,
please,
precisely.
please.
And they say we'll be talking about Bethesda next week when we discuss most anticipated games of 23.
Yeah, exciting segment.
Yeah, can't wait.
Games that show a lot of promise.
Yeah,
for the
100%.
new year.
So that's number 5. Number 4 on this list is Sim City 2013. I want to hand this one over to you, my friend.
So SimCity, I mean, in its time, in its prime, what a title!
Yeah,
what a series of games. They were the goat of city building, weren't they?
yeah,
For
the
a
lead.
long time.
Yeah,
And then they released SimCity in 2013, and I think the main difference that really was their killer was that you had to always have an internet connection, right?
yeah.
And this led to
huge point of contention.
Huge point of contention, yeah. But then everyone having to connect to the server then meant that the servers essentially melted and they weren't ready for it. So you couldn't even play the game for like 3 days. You couldn't even get into the game. Forget, the game being buggy or whatever. You could not even get into this game. You couldn't even play it.
It is the most EA thing you'll ever hear. This is
literally, yeah. And eventually they added content. It was like an okay game. We're talking like months and months later. But I mean, after this, they abandoned the series. They haven't made a game since. Sim City, what a historical title, a classic, and they've just abandoned it because of this flop. So I mean, if this doesn't deserve to be on this list, I don't know what does.
I mean, the one thing that this has that none of the other games on this list had is that they gave up on this series after this game. So maybe it should have been number 1.
maybe
because that's huge.
it just killed it, didn't it? But I think it was huge in its day. But maybe it's because recent. But I think the 3, 2, and 1 have seemed to hit harder, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, SimCity having to abandon that franchise, you can't say much more, can you? Really?
No. And yeah, we should go back a little bit because obviously, as you said, people couldn't get into the game. It was always online. I mean, that's always going to be a huge point of contention.
For a single player experience, like people play SimCity for a peaceful, you're chilling out. You're offline, like you're just building your city, you're chilling. You don't want to have to log on and connect.
Well, it doesn't make sense, does
online.
It doesn't make. Why would it need to be always online? It's not. As you say.
I think they tried something with interacting with other players, like a global economy or something.
Yeah.
And that's just not what people want.
No.
You need to know what your fans want, and the last thing they want is to have to interact with other humans.
Yeah.
God forbid.
I know. And,
they just want a single player experience. Building city. That's all they want.
And one of the things that was huge for people is that EA wouldn't offer refunds. They refused to give people refunds, which really kicked people off. Because I was reading that a movement was started, then petitions that was being kind of covered by the mass media and stuff about how it should be widespread that all video game companies should be made to offer refunds. If people, everyone who buys video games should be entitled to a refund, that sort of thing. People were livid about that, and you would be if you can't even get into the game, as you said. You want your money back.
Out 40 quid for a massive, it's not even a small studio. It's EA, for goodness sake.
Yeah,
and they've just failed at delivering a game.
Yeah,
you should get your money back. Simple as.
Yeah. So that was massive. And then with regards to it always being online, because they had such an absolute just catastrophe with it, It then forced them to change the development of future titles. For example, I read that Sims 4 was, because it was in development at that time,
Yeah.
their plan was for that to be the same, or you had to always be online. You always had to have an internet connection. And because it was such a kind of a, well, I can't swear, can I? Because it was such a mess,
Yeah.
they had to
That's a
change it.
backtrack.
They said, we can't do this.
Oh, mate.
Yeah,
Wow.
in fact, I mean, yeah. So, an absolute mess. The studio after that, Maxis, was shut down,
Yeah.
which then obviously played a part in the fact that we have not had a SimCity game since.
No.
And then 2015 comes along, Paradox enter the picture, and in comes City Skylines.
And
because
it takes the genre by storm.
Yeah, literally. Because we mentioned this, was it last week or the episode
Yeah,
before?
last week,
where we
wasn't
said,
it? It was our game to play, yeah.
Yeah, and we said it was a SimCity killer, didn't we?
Yeah.
And so, and that is it now. Like, you wonder how it can make a legitimate comeback when City Skylines is just taking it by force, really.
Yeah, I mean, surely the name SimCity has still some pulling power, surely, for fans. But I mean,
Well,
the,
yeah,
the
that's
thing
true.
is,
Actually, yeah. I mean, I should have said that. Like, yeah, obviously, if there is a game, people will buy it, wouldn't they? But like,
they've got to add something that City Skylines doesn't. I think, because otherwise, people are just going to stick with City Skylines. Like, oh, what? This is just, City Skylines already does this. Like, and they haven't betrayed us as fans.
Yeah. And this is something that EA aren't used to, because when have they ever pulled out of a certain genre and then someone's taken that by storm? You know what I mean?
Just having monopolies, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine them just like taking FIFA off the market, and then all of a sudden, in come 2K or Konami or whatever, they've got this new game, and everyone's loving that and playing that, and they're like, they want to come back into the fray. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're not used to that.
No, it's new territory for them, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah. Probably unlikely we see one, to be honest. If ever. But, I mean, we see Skylines, I won't, won't bother me too much.
No.
Would it you?
No.
No. So there you go.
There you go.
Right, so, anything else to say before we move on to number 3?
I don't think so. I think we're all good.
So we have Fallout 76 as our number 5, SimCity 2013 as our number 4. The number 3, why not just stick with EA? Because, it's
No
EA.
surprise.
In fact, so, I don't know if we should mention this now or not. There's a game that I mentioned earlier that probably should be in here that isn't in here, that's also an EA game. I'm wondering if that should be, we should say that now.
Honourable mention?
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, I'll say we'll mention it a bit. No, actually, yeah. So Anthem should have been in here, but isn't. Because that was another one, wasn't it? It was like just an absolute mess.
Gotta be honest, not too familiar with Anthem.
No, like I didn't play, but I've just followed it. Yeah, and obviously it was one of them. It was another one of them, like obviously with all the hype and stuff, people thinking, "Wow, this game's going to be incredible," and it wasn't. And EA, as they do, just bailed, really.
Oh, mate, they do not care about their fans, do they?
No. So, yeah, like EA have precedent for this. They have form. And they do with number 3 as well, because number 3 on our list is Star Wars Battlefront 2.
So you got this on release, did you?
Did I get this on release?
You got it close to release anyway.
Yeah, because actually, some people will know this. My YouTube channel, the first video I ever did was Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Literally, wow.
Although it was the beta, yeah.
This is history of the Brommer channel.
Yeah, back when I didn't know what I was going to do content-wise. Unfortunately settled on another EA game, just stuck with EA. So yeah, I can't actually remember when I got it.
It was definitely close to release.
Yeah, because obviously knowing me with all the kind of backlash that there was to it and stuff, I'd have been like, no, I'm staying away from that. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I can't remember. Obviously, yeah, I own it now. I've played him like many times since. When that came out, that really came into criticism. So much so that when EA posted their kind of response to the initial reception on Reddit, it became the most disliked post of all time.
Wow. More
which
history.
was huge. And
Wow.
we'll talk about what was in that post shortly, but the game comes out and it is pay to win. It's just pay to
Which
win.
is never fun.
No, at all. The fact that there were loot boxes and stuff in it was obviously like very contentious to begin with. And then it turned out that to play as certain characters, the big ones, Luke Skywalker, Vader, for example, you either had to grind for hours and hours and hours on end, like I think it was 30, 40 plus hours just to unlock one, or you could get them much quicker if you paid.
And that is just such an awful feeling all the time.
It's horrible, isn't it?
When you know you can just cash out and get this instantly.
Do you know what I mean?
Other people have, and you're like putting all this hard work in.
Yeah.
All the time knowing you could just fork out, 30 quid or whatever and just get him instantly. It's one of the worst feeling in gaming.
Horrendous. Horrendous, isn't it? And they were like, they were adamant of this being in the game, clearly. Like, they really tried to cram in there as much as possible. And then obviously they put the post out trying to defend the pay to win mechanics. And obviously people are just absolutely livid. This is why I don't know if I got it on release, because seeing all that, because I'm pretty sure it was released with those in, and then what happened is they removed them because of the backlash.
Okay.
Which is unlike EA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the fact that sort of thing influenced their decision. Usually they don't budge on stuff like that.
They usually don't listen to their fans.
So no, particularly when there's money involved. Do you know what I mean?
The only language they speak.
And yeah, exactly. So eventually they remove the pay to win mechanics, and change some of the requirements for characters and stuff so that you don't have to grind as much. And I've played it many times since on multiple different consoles, and it's an enjoyable game for sure. Gameplay is decent. They put a campaign in this one because the first one didn't have a campaign, and people were livid about that because why would you not put a campaign in? And it's decent for sure, but the game design is still hindered by the pay to win mechanics that were implemented originally. You still see it in there. Certain elements of currencies and stuff that are still in there, and microtransactions. Yeah, it's just the ghost is always there basically.
Yeah.
Have you? So you haven't played it at all?
Yeah. I've
you have?
played it a little bit. I mean, it's not. It doesn't have anything on the original. That original was a classic, and it was such a brilliant game. Yeah. Oh, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal game, and I'd still play that over this, I reckon.
Yeah. If the graphics were better, at least for me anyway.
For me, like that, it's just the gameplay's so much better. You got stuff like Galactic Conquest, like it's just so much better.
Yeah. No, I get that.
No pay to win. Like you the way you unlocked heroes as well, like if you got a certain kill streak.
Yeah. Which is which is still kind of not really. It's more like how much score you put over the entirety of the game lobby. Then you can unlock a special character in this one.
Yeah. I just not anything like the original one.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's not a criminally bad game. The launch was awful.
Yeah.
But the game itself at the moment being improved.
It has recovered a bit.
Yeah, it's playable.
Like like a decent amount. Yeah. It's playable. You can go on it and enjoy some gameplay and stuff, obviously, but it never fulfilled the potential, really, did it?
No, no.
And thankfully, the exclusive license of Star Wars is no longer with EA, so buzzing.
Hooray!
Delighted.
Round of applause for that.
Absolutely delighted. So, yeah, that
So
rounds
much
off number
promise.
3.
Okay,
Number
should
2.
we go into the big boys now?
Yeah, this was a little bit of a tie one, wasn't it? Deciding between number 2 and 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm happy with the order, I think.
Yeah, me too. Definitely.
Both of these are massive, massive, massive launch disasters, aren't they?
Yeah. Number 2 on our list of top 5 gaming flops is No Man's Sky.
Wow. The hype for this game. Do you
Pretty
remember when he was
crazy.
doing interviews as well? Oh, it's crazy when he was talking about, just the sheer amount of planets you can go to, and open world space
Well,
exploration
this is it. It was
game.
seen as like this new, groundbreaking technological game, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was procedurally generated.
Yes,
All of these planets, right? Like,
yeah.
random, like all the stuff you could find. It's just so exciting. Online was it promised, or they were quite ambiguous about online, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were
because it's so vast and so big, you're probably
Yes.
not going to meet players.
Yeah, but it is
Yeah.
online, they were saying, essentially, weren't they?
Yeah.
And I saw YouTubers who like got it to the exact same planet and to the exact same location, and they couldn't see each other. So that was just a flat out lie, which is a bit awkward. But yeah, and it turns out that having however many planets doesn't matter if you don't have anything to do on them.
Yeah.
That is an issue.
Lifeless.
Because yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was boring. There was nothing to do
Yeah, exactly.
with the original launch.
Yeah, 100%.
And people were again, as is the general theme here, not happy.
Not happy at all. Yeah, not happy at all.
But did you play it when it released?
Yes.
Originally? Yeah. And how long did you stick with it before bailing?
Oof. Less than a week.
Less than a week, yeah.
Less than a week, yeah.
I mean, so you put like a few hours into it and...
Yeah, and then just realised, yeah.
Yeah.
Realised I'd rather be playing something else. Because it is like a novelty at first. Like, oh my goodness, I could go here. I could just go into space and go. But then, like, oh, okay, I'm bored of flying. Let's look what this planet does. Oh, there's nothing here. Okay, well, what do I do now? It's just like, okay.
So yeah, it got like a panic because obviously people saw it as this new like groundbreaking game, and it turned out the fact that it was fairly groundbreaking technologically was also its undoing because of the fact that it was so vast and
yeah, exactly, because it's so vast. There's nothing to do. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So,
but with some of these, we also want to talk about the recovery, and we should say that the developers are stuck at it with No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
And
fair play, because they could have just cashed out and left it.
Yeah, 100%. And like kept continuously they are releasing free DLCs and patches, and the game is getting better. There are more things to do. In fact, I've come back to play this a couple of times.
Yeah.
Me and you, I remember, had a session on it for a few days.
I remember that. Yeah, that was good fun. Like, eventually, finally, releasing online makes it much more enjoyable.
Yeah, and then I came back to it again when I first got my Xbox Series X, because that was one of the only few games that had been kind of like remastered for the like next gen consoles at the time. And again, like it was like decent. There was more stuff to do, etc. I still think it's a game though that there's still a lot that they need to do with it, and it definitely, as is the case with a lot of games, but with this one, it definitely makes a huge difference if you're playing with someone else.
Yeah, 100%.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Like if you're on your own, it does get a bit like, you're going through the motions a bit.
Yeah, I
isn't it?
totally agree. Yeah, playing online, completely different game. Yeah.
Yeah. But they are sticking with it, and they are adding more things, and it's definitely much better.
I'd say it's worth a look.
Yeah, it definitely
It's worth a look now, I'd say.
100%. Particularly obviously if you find someone else who you can play it with as well. If you're on your own, I don't know, it's one of them. Like try it and see
Yeah,
if you're on your own.
that would be my advice as well. 'Cause
Yeah,
it is like, uh, it's just something new that's never really been done before.
no,
So it's worth a go. If you're into gaming as a whole, give it a go
yeah.
and see what you think.
So yeah, like a bit of a recovery story, but obviously the initial kind of release, it did put a. The problem is with these games, and all the games that suffer from this, is that with the initial kind of horrendous release, if it's so bad, it will always have that stain on it, won't it?
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you know what I mean?
That's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
So people are always going to, like, there are going to be some people who just go, no, never going back to that.
Yeah.
And that'll
Yeah.
be it. Which,
It's just
unfortunately,
associated with the title, right? You think No Man's Sky, the first thing you think of isn't this amazing open world. It's, disastrous launch.
yeah, literally.
Well, personally, anyway, yeah.
100%. So, like, people are just going to, fall back on that, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really the case for number one on our list. I would say this has had the best recovery story out of all of these, but also, as we've kind of agreed, Ash, also had the worst launch.
Yeah, it was a joke. Wow, it was. Yeah, wow.
And that is Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I'm going to say I'm a huge fan of this game. I've played it through twice.
Wow, okay, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
before, obviously, if we do have any Cyberpunk fans who might get hurt about this, like, well into Cyberpunk. But the launch is unlike anything I've ever seen. Anything we've ever seen, in our opinion.
It was. I've never seen so many bugs and game-breaking bugs as well. Like,
yeah.
insane, like hilarious but game-breaking bugs.
So
it was incredible.
It's important to set the scene and say, like, the hype for this game was through the roof.
Yes,
Never seen anything like
Keanu
it.
Reeves hyping everyone up.
Yeah. Which was huge.
Was it the latest game after The Witcher 3?
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously, CD Projekt Red, the next title that they go into after The Witcher 3.
Success.
Well, the next, like, huge title. They've done a couple of spin-off stuff, like Thronebreaker and that. But, so obviously, that in itself has built this hype for it, and people are expecting us. Like, I remember saying to you, I was like, this is going to be the greatest game of all time. Like, this is going to blow me away. Like,
it
literally.
promised so much, didn't it? Yeah, and the setting is different to anything we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
Like, this futuristic city is just looked awesome.
Yeah.
Graphic looked amazing. Obviously, Keanu Reeves has his pulling power.
Yeah.
Like, just everything was set up for it to be an amazing, amazing game. Then it releases, and then all I'm seeing is bug compilations.
Well, it gets delayed 3 times, which is always really telling, isn't it?
Red flag, yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the end of 2019, then it got delayed to April of 2020, and then they pushed it to September of 2020, and then they pushed it back again to December. So, and even then, it was nowhere near in a releasable state, was it?
I mean, it's a phenomenal project, but, there's no excuse for how it got released,
No. Well, it's also important to note that PC players actually got it better than most. The bugs on there weren't as bad, weren't as noticeable, particularly for obviously the higher end PCs.
Yeah. The consoles really.
It was the consoles, particularly the past gen consoles. Your Xbox One and your PS4. To be honest, this game shouldn't have been released on them. It really shouldn't.
Nope. So what did you play it on?
So when I bought it, it was on the Xbox One, and
Okay.
then I'm trying to think, were the new consoles out at that time?
Um. Hmm.
I think
Maybe
they'd
not.
just come out in the September and November, hadn't they? September, October
Perhaps.
of
Yeah.
2020. So yeah, like it was a bit too soon. I didn't get mine till like well, in January 2021. So I was like a month out. So I
Mm.
started playing it on the Xbox One, and I played about 2.5, 3 hours of it, and I went, I can't do this. I can't do this. It was unplayable. It was really bad.
Yeah.
So
What are some of the what's like the worst bug that you've encountered?
um, it was things like people like walking through vehicles and stuff like that. Do you know how it is? Like,
Yeah.
um,
Slightly immersion breaking.
yeah, and things that was getting to me that like that didn't even bother me as much as the graphics. Like the graphics would go, like the screen was going really fuzzy and stuff. It obviously just the console wasn't powerful enough, obviously, to kind of maintain it.
Yeah.
And the quality was really poor. All the frame rates were breaking and stuff. So like I was just like, I can't do it. And I waited. Um, how long did I wait? I waited until the next gen version came out, which
Mm.
I've got a feeling was this year, 2022. I'm trying to think back now. I think it was. I
Yeah,
think it
you
was the
might be
start of
right. Yeah.
2022 that the next gen version came out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not playing this until they upgrade it to the next gen and it's proper. So I waited over a year.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
to
And
play
then
it.
you eventually had your positive experience.
Yeah, yeah. We should also say that with the launch, obviously the backlash was huge. The studio got immense backlash. Sony removed it from the PlayStation Store,
Which is amazing.
which is that's
Wow.
huge. You
Yeah.
don't see that often at all. Um, and people were just absolutely livid because I think it was just it was the heartbreak more than anything. People were just so expectant of this game, and CD Projekt Red were also seen as this company that was like for the players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're proper gamers. Like, you know, they only do generally kind of the offline games. They don't try and take money from people. Like the Witcher, for example, the Witcher 3, they've given a free upgrade for the next gen, like
Yeah.
7 years after Bethesda don't do that with Skyrim. Rockstar didn't do that with GTA. Like, they're seen as like this studio that was for the players,
Yeah.
and obviously people felt betrayed. In the
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And I still think they're a good studio with good, very positive values, like especially compared to some of the developers we see today.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Not pointing any
they've learned from
fingers.
that for sure. They made lots of changes. Like the dev team were under immense crunch apparently, and they've since like just stamped it out and said, like, we're going to put this into our kind of written articles, really, that we're not going to allow this.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there was all that, and obviously people felt betrayed. But as you just alluded to, obviously it's on the recovery. It
It
really
is.
is. Yeah. So the next gen version came out, played it, loved it, absolutely loved it. Didn't stop playing it for days and days.
Yeah.
Um, I've played it again since. Played it again since. Played it through since.
Yeah.
And
So you've played it through twice, right?
yeah, well, yeah. So the second playthrough, I'm almost at the end, but I haven't finished. But that's probably a couple of months ago now, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do need to continue that at some point. But yeah, that's almost finished. But then like second time around, I realised that there was so much I missed. I was like double the amount of time that of my first playthrough.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, like it's a really good game, really enjoying it, and I think what's helped it is obviously the patches and stuff. They've really pushed it out. Next gen, it's much better now. But also, Edge Runners, which was an anime series on Netflix, was released. A lot of people really enjoyed that. It got a lot of positive feedback, and that I think spiked interest in the game again. People coming back to it, people buying it, and then they've just announced DLC for it now.
Yeah. So it shows that they're committing to the title. They're not going to
Yeah,
abandon it like SimCity.
yeah,
They're committed to keep working on it and make it into a just a really good game, really
yeah.
positive experience.
And because like whatever ending you get, I believe is generally, well, even the most positive endings are still left on like a cliffhanger.
Mm.
No spoilers. Um, so like you need the DLC really to kind of fulfill that arc. And then out of nowhere in the trailer for the DLC, Idris Elba is another cast member
Wow,
coming into the game along with Keanu Reeves, who
another big
returns
name.
to what's the word? Reprise his role as Johnny Silverhand. So you got Idris Elba in there as well now.
Wow.
So yeah, the game has recovered. The game has recovered fairly well. Again, though, as we spoke about earlier, isn't it? Like there's a stain on it, isn't there?
Yeah,
Always.
you're always going to associate that buggy mess that was released with Cyberpunk for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. And so
but
like,
it's worth a
well,
play.
you were playing it though for a bit, wasn't you? And you were like,
No, it's really good. I think I need to like change some of the settings so that my PC runs it a bit better because that was the one issue that it wasn't working great.
oh really?
Yeah. So I think changing some settings and stuff, but the game itself was phenomenal. And I
Mm,
say again, like the world that you're put in, such a lively city with interesting characters and all this like new technology,
yeah.
super cool and well worth a play. It's another one of those games that I think is just like it's a step up in gaming, just like No Man's Sky. I feel
Yeah,
like it's
for
the next
technology.
generation of gaming. Yeah, it's an example of that. So if you're a gamer, it's got to be on your list to play.
So yeah, Cyberpunk tops our list, but also probably has the best recovery story
Yep,
as well. The top five
I agree.
flops. It's back on the Sony store now, so you can get it if you're on PlayStation. Um, so yeah, that rounds it off. Anything else you want to add, Ash, before we move on?
I don't think so. No, I mean, I'm sure many of our viewers are familiar with Cyberpunk, right? And it's
Oh,
just
yeah,
it was
everyone's
such a
heard of it, haven't they?
huge. I just want to emphasize how huge the hype was, how huge the disgraceful launch was. It was such a massive story. There was nothing else on gaming news for like a week, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
That's
even
why
my dad, who obviously has nothing
really,
to do with video games whatsoever, couldn't press a button if you asked him to.
yeah, yeah,
Even he knew of the game because he like Keanu Reeves was in it. You know,
yeah, exactly. It's just
and all you could
so
see on the
massive.
TV that in the adverts and stuff, it was just on all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
So
huge.
deserving of our number one spot, I think.
Yeah, yeah, but well recovered
Yeah,
as well.
very well recovered.
So yeah, let us know, guys. Let us know what you think about this list. Unfair on some. Should have mentioned others. Obviously, we said maybe Anthem should have been in there. Another EA title. They excel in these flops. Um, anything else? Any other games? Let us know. Obviously
Any
on
personal
Twitter and YouTube.
experience? Anything?
Go on.
We want to hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just saying if you've had any personal experience with disastrous launches, if you'd add anything, if you'd change this list, let us know. Yeah.
there's bound to be a major one that we forgot.
Yeah, absolutely. It always happens, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're only two minds. Can't think of everything.
So next up on the agenda, as we round out this episode, or start to anyway, we want to discuss what you should play, or why you should play. Each week, me and Ash will suggest one game that we think you should try. Now, I've never actually played this game, so I'm going to hand it over to my wonderful co-host, who can explain it to you.
All right. So the game that I am advising you to play for this week is 2-Point Hospital.
What is Two
Right.
Point Hospital?
So it is a game that is based on. Don't know if anyone's heard of Theme Hospital. Massive game back in the day, released 1997. I wasn't even alive until a year after that. So that just shows how old this series is. But this is a modernized version. So the idea is you're managing a hospital. You're building a hospital. You've got to start with a reception desk and build from there. And obviously people come in with ailments. People sometimes have a inflated head that you've got to pop and deflate. Some people have, it's got a humorous side. So people come in with these like really weird things and you've got to sort it. You've got to hire staff, all of which have different attributes. So they might be better with people, they might be more competent, but they might be slower or something. You've got to weigh up the pros and cons of these staff, that you've got to then pay them, and you've got to run a successful hospital, essentially. It's super fun. It's like light-hearted game. If you like management games, it's definitely the game for you. 100%.
They've also released a 2-point campus, haven't they, recently?
2-point campus as well, yeah. If you want to create your university campus and create more bars than libraries, then go ahead.
That would be your sort of campus.
Oh, that would be my sort of campus, mate. You know me. So it's just a really solid game. Chilled out vibe, light-hearted. If you're looking to relax and just manage a hospital, and this is for you. Yeah, really fun.
How many hours you put into it? Do you know?
10. So
Okay.
not too many, but every time I mention these games, it makes me want to play them again.
Yeah.
I want to finish this off actually.
But what's with regard to how many hours does that kind of? Can you complete the game? Like, can you?
Yeah, so they've got different levels that obviously increase in difficulty and stuff. I'd say about like 25, if that's a ballpark it, maybe more, to complete the levels.
Yeah.
And then you've got they've added some DLC. I did quite a lot of DLC actually. And that a lot of content to play with, and as you say, 2-point campus as well. It's clearly done really well.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a really fun game. Yeah.
Available on all platforms.
All platforms.
Maybe your consoles or your PC. So
Give it a go. Give it a go.
Yeah, give it a go. Give it a go. So with that being said, we are going to finish off by talking about what we have been playing this week, or rather more specifically, Ash is going to finish off talking about what he's been playing this week. I haven't been playing anything. And the reason why, as I spoke to you about Ash before the podcast, is obviously The Witcher 3 Next Gen has just been released as a recording this last week. And naturally, I thought I'd be tucking into that straight away. But then about 2 days before, I decided, you know what? I want to read the books before getting into it. I've never read the books.
Yeah,
I was already
in
the middle of reading them. What was that?
The books. The game you've been playing is reading.
Yeah. So like I only ever played The Witcher 3. I didn't play Witcher 1 or 2. Played like Thronebreaker and Gwent, the spin-off games and stuff, but The Witcher 1 and 2 I didn't play. So I went into Witcher 3 and I didn't really have an idea of the story beforehand. Does a good job of explaining things that happen, but I decided, you know what, I want to go and read the books and get a full lowdown on the story before I go into it and be really kind of informed on all the characters and stuff. So I've just been reading the books really. So literally whenever I get free time when I'd usually be playing games, just reading the Witcher books.
Fair play. So you're prepping yourself for first The Witcher 2 and then
going to play The Witcher 2.
You'll get to The Witcher 3 remastered.
Next gen, yeah. So sometime next year, probably at this rate. Which isn't
You're
really
going to
too
enjoy
far
it all
away,
the more though, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And it will. I know that it will just improve the experience no end when you know more about the story and stuff and the lore.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, you're playing a game that's very lore intense.
Yeah, I've been playing WoW. Yeah, so they released Mythic Plus, which is the hardcore stuff, but it's like this sort of content that's endless. You can just play it and do key after key after key after key. So there's no end to it, and you're getting better gear. I've got a good group of pals on there, hoping to get you into some keys sometime. Like, it's just such good vibes. The game's so good. The dungeons are good. The raid's fun. 20 plus people in one group is just really fun. So, mate, I'm absolutely loving it. Still think it's one of the best expansions so far.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't really have a negative thing to say about it. Bloody expensive though, like in terms of in-game gold. I can't afford some of the stuff that like to improve my gear, like enchants. I can't afford it. I don't have enough money. It's mad.
That's crazy.
Wow, inflation is a thing. It's
Yeah,
insane.
especially with a token
Um,
through the roof.
oh yeah. I mean, our guild master's having to buy one every couple of weeks, so he's having to spend like 40 quid a month or whatever just to keep the guild afloat.
Oh dear me.
Yeah. But no, like super group of people playing an amazing game with an incredible world. Who could ask for more?
And they've got a special offer on at the moment. If you buy Dragonflight, you get 30 days bonus of game time.
There you
So,
go, guys. Stop. Time to put down the controller and pick up the mouse and keyboard.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's just good to sink hours into. Really, you know what I mean? Like, nothing too.
Yeah.
Well, depending on what you do, obviously, it can be like quite light-hearted. Like in terms of having to like really like put yourself into. Obviously, if you're doing Misfit Keystones and stuff, then yeah. But like when you're just questing and stuff, you just chilled on you really like.
Yeah,
Nice and
man.
relaxed.
Like it's so like just going through questing. It's so chilled. You got the immersive music on. Like
Yeah.
it's a game that's got incredible depth. Like you said, you can either be like really hardcore and push for the best gear and feel awesome, or you can just have a chill time and make money. You can play the economy.
Yeah.
Like level up your professions.
Yeah.
Mine and craft stuff. Or there's just got such incredible depth. That you can really go in a million directions and enjoy the game.
So yeah, that's World of Warcraft. And
That is World of Warcraft. I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot more over like the course of the podcast.
oh,
Probably
100%.
because it's definitely it's my favorite game of all time. As we know from episode 1, if you haven't checked that out, check it out.
Well plugged, mate. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Leave a rating.
Yes. So yeah, that's probably a good time to round it off, isn't it?
I
been another
reckon
good
so,
one.
mate. It's been a brilliant one. Yeah, we've thoroughly enjoyed. Hope you have as well.
And looking forward to next week. Next episode, we're going to talk about our most anticipated games of 2023.
Yes,
Really
must tune in
excited for that one.
Absolutely.
So stick around and go and check out any of the other episodes. For example, as Ash just alluded to, we in our first episode talked about our top 5 games of all time. That was a really, really fun one.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, go and check them out. Check out any of the other episodes with some of the special topics. Last week we covered Saints Row and the decline of the Saints Row games. So another good one that you can really sink your teeth into if that's something you're interested in. So go and check them out. Obviously, make sure to leave a rating and review on all of your podcasting apps that you are listening on, Spotify, Apple, Google, whichever it may be. That will really help us out. Make sure to drop a like on the video if you are watching the video version on my YouTube channel. And obviously reach out to us. Reach out to us on Twitter, AshBros Podcast, through email, ashbrospodcast@gmail.com. And you can also find links to all of our all the podcasting apps, to links to the podcast on our website, which is www.ashbrospodcast.com. Right, with that being said, I think we're just about time to round it off. We will be reaching out to you guys asking for your most anticipated games in the next episode, so keep an eye out on all the social channels for that. I want to throw the final words over to my good pal, Ash.
Thank you ever so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
See you soon. Bye-bye.